Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on your dreams. Has anyone ever said that to you? I know up until one point in my life, I've never even thought about having dreams because, I grew up in low-income housing. We never had dreams. We just tried to survive. But it wasn't until much later in life when one of my university basketball coaches said to me, never give up on your dream. If you have a dream, never give up on it. Always chase it. Always figure out a way to make it happen. And until then, I never even believed that. And over the years, it's evolved. And I remember one of my coaches saying the same thing. Never give up on your dreams. That's what my business coach said to me. However, he said this: never give up on your dreams unless. That's what I want to talk to you about coming up next in this episode. You're listening to the Grind and Gratitude Show. Welcome to the Grind and Gratitude Show. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much. If you're an avid listener, you already know I got a lot of love for you. I just want to say thank you to the listeners from all around the world in different countries, everybody who sends me a message, a DM, who leaves a podcast review, who shares the podcast. It just means so much to me because, I put a lot into recording these episodes and listening to you and listening to coaches and family and friends and clients who come to me and say, hey, Coach Stone, could you do something on this topic, or could you bring on a guest on this topic? And so I do my best to try to bring information that you want. And to be honest, I'm not an expert. I'm just somebody who's naturally curious, who wants answers just like you do, who continues to learn and grow and share. And so that's what this podcast is. It's my ups, my downs, my failures, my wins, what I'm learning, what I've learned, what I've taught to other people, what's working for other people, what hasn't worked for me, what's working for me. It's all of that and more. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who tunes in. I just really, really appreciate it. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Danny Stone, also known as Coach Stone is in the building. What's going on? I am the founder of Champion You Academy, an online academy to help authors, consultants, coaches, creators make more impact, income, and influence. I have a few books out. I'm an international speaker. I just love to help people. And so this is just another extension of me just wanting to help, just wanting to have conversations with you, my co-host. And so today I'm wearing all red. I got my red fedora hat on. I got my red hoodie on. And I'm wearing red because it's all love today. It's always all love, but today is all love. And it's all love for your dreams. It's all love for my dreams. See, we have to start showing our dreams more love. And I'm saying this as a person who never really had dreams. I grew up around a lot of drugs and crime and prostitution. And, I grew up around some people who, would always try to take what you have. I used to get bullied and picked on by drug dealers. And, I just remember sometimes I just wish that I was just not living in that environment. Now, I'm not trying to say it was all bad because it wasn't. Growing up in low-income housing, I had amazing, some really great friends, a family. We used to have some good times, but there were also some challenging times. And so growing up, I never really thought I never really had dreams. And the dreams that we had weren't really mine, I realized. I either wanted to grow up to be a professional basketball player or a rapper. So many people in my neighborhood, that was our dream. And I'm not saying it was even a dream. It was just something that everybody wanted. So I thought that I should want to be that as well. So I just never really had dreams until much later in life. And I think it's because I was afraid to let myself down. I was afraid to think about wanting something bigger than I could achieve and then not achieving it. I was so afraid to be a failure. And when you grow up in an environment where people, sometimes point out your flaws and point out the things that you're not good at and make fun of you for just being you, I tended to play it safe. And so I would never set my goals on anything too far out because I didn't really think that I could achieve them. And so I never really had dreams. And it wasn't until much later in life, I remember, one of my coaches in university saying to me, talking about like, well, what's your dream after you graduate? What's your dream when you leave here? And I just kind of looked at him like, and said, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. I just want to kind of just finish school and, move on and get a regular job. And he said, well, what is your dream though? Like, what do you really want in your life? And I couldn't answer that. I was in my early 20s and I couldn't answer that question because I never had dreams. And I remember him, I said, look, I just don't know what I want. I don't know. And he said, look, I want you to really think about what it is that you want. Think about a big dream that you really want. What's something that you really want in your life? And I want you to stay focused on that. And I want you to never give up on that dream. Never give up. Because he said, you're capable of doing so much more than you think that you are. And so stay focused. Have a dream, stay focused, take action. And he goes, you'll surprise yourself. And I always kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And even as I went on to, I became a university dropout. I didn't finish university. I kind of somehow ended up in the corporate world working, which was amazing because most of the jobs wanted you to have a degree. And in working in the corporate world, I just saw a lot of people who were unhappy, a lot of people who were going through the motions, and people who just really didn't dream bigger than where they were. And so I kind of just kept that same mindset and that same mentality. And it wasn't until I started my own consulting and coaching business, and then I got a coach. That's when I really started to learn about mindset and habits and dreaming bigger than where you are. And I remember one of my coaches, saying to me, he said, Danny, so many people may have told you in your life, or so many people say this, like, never give up on your dream. And he said, has anyone ever told you that? And I told him the story of my university coach saying that. And he's like, that it's really great. I don't disagree with that. But he said this to me. This is what my business coach said to me many years ago. Never, ever give up on your dream. Never give up on your dream because you're capable of doing things that you didn't imagine. You're capable of creating a legacy that's beyond what you thought it could be. You can impact so many people's lives. You can make as much money as you possibly want. If you have a dream and you stay focused on that dream, it'll just open up the world. So he said, look, I'm going to say this to you. Never give up on your dream unless. And I said, unless what? What do you mean? You just said, don't give up on your dream, coach. And now you said you're adding unless? What do you mean unless? He said, look, never give up on your dream unless it's one of these two reasons. And I said, well, what are the two reasons? And my business coach said this, never give up on your dream unless the dream was never yours to begin with. I was like, what? He said, never give up on the dream unless it was never your dream to begin with. And what he meant was this. Sometimes people put their dreams on us. They say, oh, well, you should want to do this. You should go and be a doctor or a lawyer. Sometimes a lot of people's parents do that. I want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a dentist, right? So now your parents have put their dreams on you. Right? They've told you what your dream should be, right? Maybe that's happened to you before. Or maybe you've had, a sports coach or a teacher tell you that you should really want this. Well, you're good at speaking, so you should be a speaker. You're good at writing, so you should be an author. And they plant that in your mind. And then so you just start doing everything you can to live out that dream. And then for some people later on down the road, they realize, I never wanted this. This was never my dream. And they decide to change their direction. And people think that that's a bad thing. I don't. I've had coaching clients who were doctors, a guy who was a surgeon who became an entrepreneur, somebody who was a senior vice president at a company who quit his job and started his own business. I had somebody who had dreams of playing in the NBA, who now is a high-end performance coach for professional athletes. Right? I know so many people that went to university, graduated, went down the path of a specific career, changed their mind years later, and now they're doing something different that they love. So never give up on your dreams unless it wasn't your dream to begin with. And I had to realize that because at some point in my life, I thought I don't know if it was the goal or the dream. I just thought, because growing up in low-income housing, the idea was to get a quote unquote good job. You got to get a good job. You got to get a good job. Get a good corporate job. Get a job with a pension. And so many people used to say that I thought, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go get a good job with a pension and just retire in that job after working 30 or 40 years. And for the longest time, I just thought, okay, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. And then I start working in the corporate world and I realized it just wasn't for me. I saw so many people that were unhappy. I saw so many people that just weren't happy with the job, or they were complaining, or they wanted more, but then they weren't taking action to do it. And so for me, I just decided, one, if I wanted to work for an organization, it has to be one that I really believe in and one where I could really use my skills and my talents. But at some point I realized, you know what? I want to make a greater impact. I want to make more income, and I want to have a greater influence. And that's when I decided to start my own coaching and consulting business and public speaking, and wrote a couple of books. And, that was in 2014. And since then, I've been able to stand on stages around the world, and my book has reached readers in different countries, and I'm making a greater impact. But I would have never done this if I had to let somebody else plant their dreams in my head, and if I had just settled for something that I didn't want. So when my business coach said to me, never stop chasing your dreams unless they're not your dreams. Go and focus on what it is that you really want. And so that was the first thing that he told me. And then the second thing he said was never stop following your dreams unless you change your dreams. And this is another thing too, because sometimes people have this dream of maybe starting their own business, or always dream of buying a home, or living in another country, or writing a book, or whatever that is. And, either they get close to achieving that and they decide, you know what? I don't think this is what I really want. Or they achieve it and then they decide this isn't big enough. I have to go bigger. I need to set my sights on a bigger dream. Now that I've written this book, I have something bigger in mind. Now that I bought this house, now I've traveled to this country, now that I started my own business, now that my family's good, now that I'm making this amount of money, I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to reevaluate where I am, and I'm going to set the goals, the dream to be bigger. So this is what I've learned over the years. This is what I've learned, that my ask was too small. The dream was just way too small. I learned that at times I was afraid to go bigger because I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of what other people would say about me if I didn't achieve the dream, I didn't accomplish the goal. I was afraid of, letting myself down like I have in the past when I didn't achieve a goal or I didn't live up to that dream. I was afraid of all of those things, and that's what I learned. But I also learned you got to do it afraid sometimes. Sometimes you just have to do it afraid. And sometimes you have to set the goal bigger. At one point in my life, I just wanted to make $50,000. I said, look, if I just made $50,000, that would be amazing. I'd be great for the rest of my life if I made 50 grand every year. Then when I made 50, I said, I want to make 65, then 75, then 100, then 150, then 200, then a million. Now, I just kept upping the dream, because once I got to a certain level, I realized that my dream wasn't big enough. I realized I had to stretch myself. I had to think way, way bigger. And so maybe that's the case for you. Maybe you've forgotten to dream because you're still concentrating on the failures and the setbacks and the mistakes. I've definitely been there. Maybe you're still beating yourself up because you've tried things in the past and it didn't work. Maybe you tried to quit smoking. Maybe you tried to quit drugs or alcohol and it didn't work, and you're still beating yourself up. Maybe you tried to get out of debt and you did, and then you're back in debt again, and you're still beating yourself up because now you're back in debt again. Maybe you messed up a past relationship, and you're still beating yourself up over that past relationship that you messed up. Maybe you had a good job and then you lost that job. Maybe your business isn't going the way that you expected, so you're hard on yourself because you should be doing better in your business. Maybe your health isn't that great right now, and you know you need to take better care of your health, and you've tried in the past, or you're just not motivated, or you know that now is the time that you really have to start eating better, exercising, and you're still beating yourself up. And so maybe because of any of those things or all of your mistakes, you're afraid to set bigger goals and to dream bigger because you keep letting yourself down. Well, I'm going to say this. You have a champion inside of you. There's something special about you. You have greatness inside of you. And when you think about a champion, you think about the champion mindset. Champions don't always want to do what they have to do. Champions aren't always successful. Sometimes they lose. Sometimes they fail. Sometimes they mess things up. But the dream is so big that they dust themselves off and keep going. They try again. They learn from their mistakes. They do better the next time. They figure out who they need to connect with that can help them. And if you have a champion inside of you, and I know that you do, then I need you to get back up. I need you to set that big dream. What is the big dream? What are the big dreams that you have? What are those massive goals that are going to move your life forward, that are going to make your life better, that are going to make your family's life better, your community, the world? What are those goals and what are those dreams? And I want you to stay focused on them. I want you to take massive action towards them every day. Find mentors, find coaches, find communities of people that are doing what you want to do, or communities of people who are going to support you in those tough times, who are going to motivate you when you feel like quitting. Find those people, find those communities. You have a champion inside of you. Your dreams are worth it. You're worth it. I don't want you to quit on yourself. And so it's okay for you to readjust, but don't give up on your dreams unless they're not yours, or unless you change your mind and you set another dream. Look, I never thought in a million years that some kid who was shy and used to get bullied and picked on could now stand on and grew up in low-income housing, who teachers told him was a terrible writer, who they tried to push me into general courses so I couldn't go to university. Like that kid, me, now gets to stand on stages, now gets to have you here as my co-host on my podcast, now has 2 books out here in the world making a difference, now has people, sending me messages from all over the world saying this podcast and my messages and my posts are helping them to change their lives. I never would have thought that would have been me. Never. But I kept setting goals. I kept dreaming bigger than my situation and my circumstances. I kept dusting myself off when I made mistakes and I had setbacks and I failed. I learned from my lessons. I found mentors and coaches. I bought books. I took courses and programs. I became a part of communities of people that would support me when I felt like quitting. And I just keep going. I'm not perfect. I still have things in my life that I haven't achieved. I still kind of have those times where I beat myself up for not being further ahead in certain areas of my life. But then I dust myself off and I keep going. That's what I want you to do. Listen, I'm so passionate about this because I know what it's like to not feel like you're worthy of anything. I know what it's like to have low self-esteem. I know what it's like to stay focused on the things that aren't working in your life. I know what it's like to just wish things were different. I know what it's like. And so if you're in that place, keep fighting for your dreams. Even if you don't know how they're going to happen, just stay focused on what it is that you want. And you'll start attracting the right people, the right opportunities. The right things will fall into place to keep you going towards that big dream. So that's it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I hope that you felt this message. If you did, please share it. Please subscribe to the Grind and Gratitude Show podcast. Please leave a review. It will really help me out a lot. And so thank you so much for being my co-host. I love these episodes and I love getting messages from you after these episodes because it just lets me know that you still want me to keep doing this. So thank you so much. I appreciate you being my co-host. That's it for this episode. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.